I'm legally insane, and I have a Nintendo Switch game collecting and retro game collecting addiction. It's a thing that some people have, and I have it. Hey, at least I admit it. How many people out there actually admit it? They're in denial. I'm not in denial. I own over 600 of these games. Nintendo Switch, and claiming I need a new shelf. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure that that played a role in my wife leaving me and taking the kids. But in the end, I got the last laugh. I'm the one with the rare games. I'm the one with all the bangers. I have the Switch games. He who controls the Switch games controls the universe. So let's find out what rare games and bangers I got for you guys today. Let's get started. This is not a drill. Make sure you're wearing a diaper. First game up, This Way Madness Lies. A very, very interesting game. Okay, it's an extremely unique, fast-paced, turn-based JRPG. Classic, old-school, homage to the 90s, Super Nintendo 16-bit pixel art style. You know I like my pixel art 16-bit style games. Okay, so artwork-wise, you know, it's fairly nice. It's not overly incredible. It's certainly not A Space for the Unbound. I mean, nothing will ever top that retro art, pixel art style. But what makes it especially unique is that it's a Shakespearean comedy / Sailor Moon Magical Girl style JRPG. So it's meant to be funny. It doesn't have a serious storyline. It never advertised itself as anything serious. The interesting thing behind this game, when I first ordered this game, I had mixed feelings about it. I got it. Okay, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm going to be very blunt. I got it because I thought it would become rare. But took a gamble on it. I wasn't super interested in it at first. I looked at it and I said, this has all the makings of a potentially rare game in the future. One, it's not a serious plot. Most people are going to ignore it. What do you mean Shakespearean comedy? Magical girls? 16-bit graphics? I don't know. I think I'm going to pass. That's what the majority of people were thinking. It didn't sell very good. I already know that. This small, short, 5 to 10 hours, depending on your difficulty setting, JRPG. 5 to 10 hours, that's it? That's it? Your average buyer is going to go buy something else. I think it was completely ignored. What do you mean, Shakespeare? Shakespeare? I don't like Shakespeare. You know, this is how the average viewer is thinking at the time. I thought, I'm going to take a chance on it. You can still buy it today at some of the retailers. On eBay, it's getting rare. There's not very many copies available on eBay, and they are selling well above retail. But it is still in stock. VGP still has it. Other retailers don't. So if you're going on eBay, I didn't check Amazon, but probably it's overpriced on Amazon like everything is. There's not very many copies available on eBay. It has the potential to become a cult classic in the future. It's very funny. It has a very funny mechanic, translation mechanic. So sometimes they'll talk in Shakespearean old school English language, and then the joke is that you hit the button to translate it to modern English. And I'm not going to give any of it away, but that's that's one of the gimmicks. Okay. Now, what I like about this RPG is I would call it geared toward the casual gamer. It's a good RPG for casual RPG fan, old man gamer, little kid like myself. You can adjust the difficulty. More importantly, you don't have to worry about equipment, getting the right armor, constantly upgrading your armor, putting the right armor, putting the right weapons on. There's no armor, there's no weapons. You attach traits. So the closest thing that you're going to get to a weapon is equipping different traits on your girl. So you can customize your girls a little bit. And where it really shines is the actual combat. They really focus on using different skills in combat. And you can combine certain girls together to use a quote, what they call a unite ability, and get all these different combinations, some offensive, some defensive. So the focus is on the combat and the humor. Great game. I'm calling it right now. It's got all the markings for something that could potentially become a cult classic. And you know what? Maybe it ends up in the discount bin, right? We're just speculating. But I think it's something that was ignored and still is ignored. Heck, if you go on YouTube, only a handful of people even made a review video on it. So I don't think it's very popular today, but maybe tomorrow, some point in the future, it will be popular. Check that one out if you're interested. But if you want to buy it, don't go on eBay. It's a little bit pricey on eBay right now, and that trend will probably continue, though. Wait till the retailers, the people that even know where to get a copy, wait till they sell out. Right? That could be a $200 Canadian game, $100 US dollars plus coming up in the future. Next up, we have what just may be one of the top 10 games ever made in history. Okay? And you all know, I know the best games ever made in history. Final Fantasy III for the Super Nintendo. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Nintendo Switch. Die Hard Arcade, Sega Saturn. I mean, I know a good game when I see one. So I'm not kidding around. Outer Wilds, Nintendo Switch, or PS4. Now, PS4 edition is better. So if you do have a PS4 or PS5, definitely get that version. But if you don't, this version ain't bad. They did a good job. They did a really, really good job with the hardware that they're working with. I'm still playing through this game. I'm fairly early in. And I can't tell you much about the story. I can't even tell you too much about the game because that's all part of the experience. But coming from someone who has the golden touch, when I say a game is a 10 out of 10, it's a 10 out of 10. And I'm going to prove it to you, not just with my words. I'm going to show you what others have said about this game. And you are going to purchase this game. This is a must-own game. So the game itself is a space exploration game. I'll take my glasses off to show you how serious this is. The only part of the story that can be revealed is what the developers have revealed. So you are the newest recruit of a space program. So you're going to take your spaceship out, travel the solar system, and unravel a time-looping mystery. Outer Wilds is an open-world mystery about a solar system trapped in an endless time loop. As you play through this game, you are going to have a strong urge to pick up a loaded gun. Point that gun at your own balls. And you're going to pull that trigger. These are the official critic reviews. As you can see, in some cases, perfect scores, 100 out of 100. A rare adventure game in which the journey is actually more of a reward than the destination. And that's why the graphics are important. That's why, sadly, I do recommend getting the PS4 version versus the Nintendo Switch version for that reason. But hey, the Nintendo Switch version ain't no chopped liver, buddy. Now, I'm the type of person that can sense the passion behind a review. So I know if a review is just a review, or if a review is a legitimate ball-blowing experience. And this guy right up here, hell, both of these guys had those types of experiences. The first guy says, flew into the sun on his first loop. Forgot to put on his suit before walking into space on second loop, meaning he died. Got lost for the next 1,000 loops. Peed my pants on dark bramble. Finally figured everything out, and experienced a life-changing ending. Peak gaming. And below that, Zephyr says, do yourself a favor and go into this game as blind as possible. That's what I've been telling everybody. Go into this game blind. That's how it's designed. Don't look up, and don't look, even if you get stuck, do not look up a guide under any circumstance. You will regret it. Every single person that looked up a guide, they regretted it. This guy says, go into it as blind as possible, and you'll experience a masterclass in game design unlike anything you've ever played. Alex Meister says, the best game you can only finish once. Just like 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Does that ring a bell? If you haven't played that, add that to your list. Bucket list. I promise, once you finish, you'll be begging all of your friends to get it and play so you can live vicariously through them. Hell, 13 Sentinels. I had the same experience. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. I haven't experienced reviews like this since 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. I got 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim thanks to a review, just like the one we just read. In fact, I'll show you one even more eerily similar, even closer. The first line is all you need to know, because I saw a reviewer say this once before. The first line is all you need. This game is a masterpiece. I wish I could forget it so I could play it again. That's it. Because the same thing happens in 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. The problem is you can't play it again. You want to play it again so bad. But you already know the mystery. It's not the same experience. You can't do it again. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You cannot repeat it, even though you wish you could. I mean, the only way that you could is if you smacked your head so hard you'd turn into an actual retard.
I'm retarded?
And then you might be... you might be able to play it again. The problem is, even if you did that, the problem is you wouldn't be able to understand the game. This game here, the physical edition, has the DLC on it. There is an expansion. It has it on the game. It's called Echoes of the Eye. Built onto the cart. Okay, with Outer Wilds, I forgot to mention that I do believe this will become a rare game. You can still get it for retail today. A couple of vendors have sold out. They may or may not do some reprints. I Am 8-Bit has the collector edition still available. I wouldn't bother paying extra for that one unless you're really into the game, though. A lot of times people will get the collector's edition for sentimental value of a particular game. But I think it's going to continue to become a cult classic. And in my opinion, it's a must-own game for any collector, for any console that this game becomes available. When I said I was bringing you nothing but good games today, I wasn't kidding around. Because this is one of the best. Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. 2-player. Camera's not going to pick that up very good, but this is 2-player game. Now you have to unlock multiplayer mode or free play. Or what they call free play mode. You have to unlock multiplayer mode. Normally, I think you have to beat the campaign story mode to do it, but there's a cheat code. Just look up the cheat code. Go on GameFAQ. There's always cheat codes. You know, cheat codes are a lost art. Back in the day, everyone was looking for cheat codes. They were putting cheat codes in game, like N64 era especially. They were PS1 era. There was cheat codes for everything. And it was like cool to put cheat codes in your games. And then that kind of like, it just died out. It's a lost art. So I love when developers add a cheat code, even though there's not very many cheat codes in this game. But at least there's something. Give us something, right? Give us more, in fact. Give us more cheat codes. So this is a remake of the OG Pocky and Rocky for the Super Nintendo. Just to give you an example here, Super Nintendo version ain't cheap, and you can get this Pocky and Rocky Reshrined for very, very cheap today. It's available on Amazon. It's still in stock. I don't think it'll necessarily ever become rare. I think it's going to be fairly cheap always. But the point is, this is a remaster / remake of the original, and it's significantly better and significantly cheaper than the original. It's essentially a sequel because only the first 2 levels are remasters of the original. Everything beyond the first 2 levels is brand new content. They added 3 brand new characters in this game. They're not in the Super Nintendo version. They are brand new. This is a brand new game. It is its own game. By calling it Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, a lot of people thought that this was a complete remake or HD remaster, but it's not. It's not a remaster. It's a complete remake. It's its own game. New levels, new weapons, new levels, new abilities. And oh yeah, actually I forgot to mention what type of game this is. This is a top-down shooter, run and gun shooter style, like the old Super C Contra NES game, those top-down view stages. And it's 2-player. And it's one of the best 2-player games ever made, in my opinion. But here's the beautiful part. So you're probably thinking, if you're familiar with Pocky and Rocky, you're thinking, well, that game's too difficult. It's way too hard for me. I was not even able to beat the first level. Well, yes, it's notoriously difficult, but that's the beauty of this particular version. It's not as hard as the Super Nintendo version. And you get additional difficulties, so you can put it on easy mode. And then it gets one step better. I'm an old man gamer. I suck at this game too. I get it. If you're thinking, I don't want to buy that game, it's too hard. I hate that game. I hate that Pocky and Rocky series. They cater to hardcore gamers who like hard games. Hardcore shooter fans. Well, not this one. You can even unlock a very easy mode. You just have to collect 3,000 coins. It's their way of saying, hey, if you collected 3,000 coins and you haven't beaten the game yet, you probably suck. So now that we know that you suck, and we have verified that even easy mode is too difficult for you, because you are an idiot. You are an old man retard. Or some dumb little kid. You're an idiot 5-year-old. Now that we know that, we the developers, we are going to let you unlock a special mode just for you. Very easy mode. So, great game, guys. Pick this one up. Pick this one up. You will not regret it. Guaranteed you will not regret it. I'm guaranteeing Outer Wilds and Pocky and Rocky. I'm 110% saying you will have a good time. The one other game that I got, the last game, what is that, number 4? I picked up Tomb Raider Remastered, Tomb Raider 1 to 3 Remastered. This was a must-buy, of course. I forgot to show you the insides of the games. Because this is the strictly limited version. It does have a manual. I don't know if the retail version is any different. I think it's the exact same, but just has a different cover. Like, there's no difference in the game. This is a numbered release, but it's no different from the retail version. And Outer Wilds Archaeologist Edition does come with a map. It's really, really cool stuff. And my This Way Madness Lies, I don't have the heart to open it. I'm keeping it sealed. It's fairly cheap digital, by the way, if you don't want to pay the money and you're into that digital stuff, go ahead, download it. I typically avoid digital stuff when it comes to non-PC games. I'm a PC gamer, but if it's available on the Switch, physical, I get physical 100% of the time. Okay, so I picked up Tomb Raider. I think it's a must-own if you grew up in that PS1 era. Okay, I grew up with Tomb Raider. My brother had Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2, and Tomb Raider 3. And it was along with Resident Evil. You gotta understand, Tomb Raider and Resident Evil were the top dogs back then. They were the best of the best games. I wasn't into them as it was a nostalgia buy for me. Okay, that's why I'm recommending anybody who grew up with these games. They're the ones that are gonna be able to appreciate Tomb Raider 1 to 3 because they haven't necessarily aged well. Some people will say, oh yeah, they're still 10 out of 10 games today. But are they really? I mean, come on, guys. Who are we kidding? You're lying to yourself. I get it. Tomb Raider's a great game. It's a great game, but it has aged. It's not the perfection that it was in the 90s. Like, when did Tomb Raider number 1 first come out? I don't think it'll tell us. Let's Google it. I'll tell you right now. Wow. October 25th, 1996. That's incredible. So here's the beauty of this version, though. They added quality of life improvements. They have a feature where you can play the remastered graphics or the OG original graphics, because in many cases I prefer the OG graphics. These aren't, the Tomb Raider Series 1 to 3 are not rare or expensive on the PS1. But if you want the convenience of playing them on a modern console and a 3-in-1, you don't have to own 3 copies of Tomb Raider anymore. That's why I got it. So changes that they made, they added modern controls, or you can use the OG original tank controls. You can go either or. They also added a camera lock-on feature, and they added health bars to the bosses. Because some of the bosses have notoriously large health bars. They realized that that was a terrible idea. The gamer has no idea if they're close to killing this thing that they've been trying to fight for 15 minutes. Right? I've been hitting this thing 15 minutes, still not dead. Right? So they added these very subtle quality of life improvements. And that's it. That's all it is. I bought it for nostalgia, and to be honest with you, I'm gonna tell you guys something here. I played the original. I probably played number 2 as well. I don't remember much about number 2. I played the original. That was my jam. But I didn't get very far. My brother beat them all. He loves Tomb Raider. I didn't get very far. Now, they don't do the cover here justice, but the reason I didn't get very far is because I was staring at her tits. She had big old titty. These things were huge. 1996, PlayStation 1, big old titty. I was looking at him. I was moving the camera, moving her around, moving the angles around, zooming in as best I could. It was peak. It was peak graphics back then. You got to understand. You look at it today and it's just a bunch of triangles. Just polygons. Triangles. But back then it was more than that. It's like, holy heck, we hadn't seen anything like this. Closest thing to that we got was Princess Peach in Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES. Right? That's the closest thing we had to a hot chick. So, or Princess, maybe N60, Mario Kart N64 might have been out. Princess Peach driving a go-kart. That's the closest thing we could get. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers. I also have a Patreon. Link in the description below if you'd like to support the channel. Shout out to Trevor, William, and Chocolate Thunder. Your existing support means a lot. It helps me produce the content. I try to get a video out every week. And if you have suggestions for future videos or games that you would like me to talk about, leave those comments below. I read all of the comments, every single one, except sometimes YouTube doesn't actually give me the notification for a comment. and I have to go fishing for it manually, or sometimes I try to censor some comments. And if I find that YouTube tried to censor your comment, I'll usually respond and say that YouTube tried to do that.